Welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're actually looking at something so incredibly common, you've probably looked right through it. Literally, a dozen times today without even noticing. But we're going to use this everyday object to unlock a really profound philosophy about human consciousness. We're diving into this fascinating text from September 2024 by Xu Feng called The Revelation of Glass. And as you'll see, we're going to explore how a simple window pane actually holds the secret to preserving our physical, biological, and honestly, our mental vitality. It is a completely brilliant metaphor, and I can't wait to share it with you. Okay, let's kick things off with a quick riddle. What keeps out the storm but lets in the light? Think about it. The wind can't pass through it, rain just bounces right off. The freezing cold? Stopped dead in its tracks. But light passes right through it as if there's nothing even there at all. It's kind of like magic when you actually stop to think about it, right? The answer, of course, is window glass. It's this absolutely unique, selective barrier. Section 1. The power of glass, the physical phenomenon. To really get this, imagine stepping into a room right in the middle of the day. But there are zero windows and a heavy door shuts tight right behind you. What happens? Well, you're instantly plunged into total darkness. The source text actually describes this as basically being blind. You're reduced to just groping around the walls trying to find your bearings, and doing any sort of detailed task? Totally impossible. Now, take that exact same room, but add a window. The second that glass is there, light just pours in. The whole place instantly brightens up. Suddenly, everything is perfectly clear, and those impossible tasks become super simple. So the absolutely crucial point here is that glass doesn't just block out the bad stuff, it actively invites the good stuff in. The more windows a room has, and the bigger they are, the more light and warmth just flood into that space. It turns a dark box into a hospitable environment. I mean, it keeps out the bitter wind, the driving rain, the biting cold, but it completely surrenders to the warmth of the sun. It's literally a one-way ticket for positive energy. Section 2. Life without light. The biology of darkness. Now, when biological spaces get completely sealed off from the sun, the consequences are, well, they're immediate and they're pretty dire. When natural light is totally blocked out, darkness and dampness just take over. It creates this environment where life just cannot thrive. Instead, life gets incredibly fragile. The vitality, that absolute core life force of an organism, is severely weakened. A completely sealed, dark environment is just fundamentally hostile to living things. The text gives us this super vivid example that really hits the nail on the head. Picture a healthy plant, right? It's bathed in sunlight, just happily humming with vibrant energy. But if you take certain plants, like leeks, and completely deprive them of that sunlight, they turn this sickly, pale yellow color. That absolute lack of sunlight completely shuts down photosynthesis. The plant is literally starved of its primary energy source, making its life desperately fragile. Without that light passing through, the biological engine just stops. Section 3. Escaping the closed system, the physics of decay. Okay, to really grasp the big picture here, we need to talk about entropy, and that's basically the inevitable increase of disorder and decay in any closed system that's cut off from incoming light or energy. And guys, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. This is a fundamental law of physics. If you have a completely sealed system where zero new energy can get in, it will always, literally 100% of the time, break down into chaos and decay. It just cannot sustain itself. And this creates a pretty grim, fatal progression. First, you have that total lack of incoming light or energy. Second, because of that energy starvation, entropy begins to increase. Disorder sets in. Third, all this rising entropy causes a massive weakening of the entire system. And finally, step 4, the ultimate collapse and demise. It is a completely fatal trajectory. Without an opening, without some kind of window to the outside, the system is totally doomed. Which leads us to this incredibly powerful takeaway from the source text. The less transparent something is, the less vitality it possesses. Transparency isn't just about optics here. In this framework, transparency is directly tied to the life force of any given system. To maintain vibrant, buzzing life energy, you have to allow the light to enter. You have to be transparent to those positive forces outside of yourself. Section 4. Building your mental window. The human application. So here is where the author brings the whole thing home, making this leap from architecture and biology straight into our own consciousness. Just like a plant withers in the dark or a closed system gets eaten alive by entropy, the author argues that our thoughts and intentions operate under those exact same laws. They have to be transparent. If our inner lives are concealed or shadowy or totally walled off from the light of the outside world, well, they become sordid. They actually start to decay. Things that can't stand the light of day are inherently dark, and holding on to them is like building a sealed windowless room right inside your own mind. So what does a healthy, conscious system actually look like then? Well, first off, it absolutely cannot remain sealed. It desperately needs to interact with the external world. In fact, the author notes that our minds require a process that's remarkably similar to photosynthesis. We need to absorb the light and warmth of the world around us to generate mental and spiritual energy. But, and honestly, this is a massive catch, just like we wouldn't just knock a gaping hole in our living room wall and leave it open to a blizzard, our minds still have to guard against negative influences, coldness, and harmful contamination. We definitely need a barrier, but it has to be a selective one. And that brings us to the absolute core thesis of this whole explainer. The text states, our consciousness requires a protective material similar to glass. Think about that. We need something for our minds that does exactly what a window pane does for a house. It has to be totally impervious to the metaphorical wind, rain, and cold of life. The negativity, the toxicity, the corruption. Yet at the same time, it has to remain completely transparent and open to the light and warmth of goodness and truth. So, what is this psychological glass actually made of? All right, here's a big reveal. The author identifies this material as our faith and values. Faith and values are the psychological glass of the human mind. Let that sink in for a second. If you have a really strong set of values, they act as this invisible shield. They protect you from the harmful temptations and the corrupting influences of the world. They literally block the wind and the rain. But at the exact same time, true faith and strong values don't make you closed off or dark. No, they are entirely transparent. They allow the light, the warmth, the truth, and the beauty of the world to just flow freely right into your heart and mind. Because of this, the author concludes that a truly vibrant, energetic life simply cannot exist without faith and values. It's just like how a house needs windows to actually be livable, or how a plant needs the sun to avoid decaying. Our consciousness absolutely requires these protective, transparent barriers to ensure our hearts stay bright, healthy, and resistant to the entropy of a closed-off mind. They are the essential architecture of a thriving human spirit. Which leaves us with one final, deeply personal question to chew on today. Are your thoughts transparent enough to stand in the light? Have you maybe built walls of brick around your consciousness, shutting out both the storm and the sun and just slowly decaying in the dark? Or have you installed the strong, protective glass of faith and clear values, allowing the warmth of the world to fuel your vitality while keeping the cold at bay? It's a pretty powerful metaphor to carry with you the next time you look out a window. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this sparked some deep reflection for you today. Until next time, keep seeking a light.